Reg Everson was a brave Royal Air Force signaler/radio operator during WWII, famous for his crucial role in the SOE, Special Operations Executive, mission to kidnap German General Kripe in Crete, where he famously made breakfast with powdered egg for the general while waiting for radio batteries, risking capture daily to transmit vital intel. He received many medals, including the Military Medal, and his story highlights the often unsung heroism of support personnel in covert ops. Initial training. Reg Everson joined the Royal Air Force on March 10, 1941. After clearing the initial tests and medical checkups, he was recruited for pilot UT training and placed in the reserves while awaiting his turn. On July 5, 1941, Reg arrived at Babacoan, where he was introduced to RAF rules and regulations. He attended lectures, got issued essential gear, and learned the basic cutouts for aircraft. Physical drills included marching at 140 steps per minute and saluting exercises. A week later, he was sent to No. 2 ITW Cambridge. Here, the marching pace increased to 160 steps per minute. Training included aircraft recognition, math, navigation, and Morse code, 8 words per minute. The physical regime was intense, ensuring every cadet stayed active. Midway through the course, Reg and fellow trainees were suddenly promoted to leading aircraft man and sent to Gork, marking the next phase of their journey. Traveling. After reaching Gork, Reg and his comrades boarded the Duchess of Athlon's ship. However, they had to return to port because the mine avoidance gear was malfunctioning. Later, they traveled by train to Wilmslow and enjoyed their first leave at home. Not long after, a telegram summoned them back. Reg had been selected for flying training in the U.S. Then they boarded the Strathnaden aircraft. After 2 days traveling with the convoy, they took off at full speed toward St. John's, Newfoundland. During the journey, they practiced lifeboat drills, wore life jackets, and were surprised to see University Air Squadron youths with their own life jackets. Eventually, Reg learned that one of these youths would become his navigator and closest friend. An unconvincing disguise. From St. John's, Reg and his fellow trainees arrived in Toronto. They stayed a few days to get gray suits as they were posing as civilian aeronautical students in the then-neutral U.S. Some cadets hitchhiked to Niagara Falls before a long train journey to Georgia, a 5-day trek. At each stop, locals offered fruit and cookies and asked about their homeland, making their civilian disguise less convincing. On October 2nd, they arrived at Dar Aerotech in Albany, Georgia, a civilian flying school operated by the U.S. Army Air Corps. Here, they donned khaki shirts and trousers and were treated like West Point cadets on base. Off base, they wore civilian clothing to blend in. Food and goggles. One of Reg's earliest memorable experiences in the U.S. Army Air Corps was the food. He quickly grew fond of Southern dishes: fried chicken, French fries, pumpkin pie, peaches, and pecans. Iced tea, however, was not his favorite. Cadets were trained to eat square meals, holding utensils both vertically and horizontally. Goggles had to be worn at all times unless eating grapefruit. During solo flights, goggles were sometimes optional. These small rituals seemed odd at first, but crucial for training and safety. The flying instructors. The first thing that amazed Reg was seeing the Stearman aircraft and meeting his instructors, Goit, Schmidt, Burkhalter, Fries, Haut, and Schellenberger. Despite the German-sounding names, all were 3rd or 4th generation Americans. Reg was lucky to be paired with J.E. Nell. Instructors taught flying techniques while working patiently with each cadet. This phase was crucial in laying a strong foundation for Reg's flying career. From bumpy beginnings to flying solo. Reg's most memorable moment was his first flight on October 6, 1941. Wearing overalls, helmet, and goggles, he sat in the back seat and watched the plane taxi over the grass. Suddenly, it lifted off, and Reg experienced the thrill of flying for the first time, a 35-minute journey filled with joy and awe. Initially doubting he could control the plane fully, Reg soloed after about 10 hours of dual instruction. Flight Commander Grasshill Campbell eventually confirmed that he was ready, sending him back to Mr. Nell for further checks, which Reg passed successfully. An early casualty. Early in the course, Reg's group faced tragedy. A trainee flying solo collided mid-air with another dual aircraft. Thankfully, both dual aircraft crew survived, but the solo trainee's plane crashed and burned on the spot. Reg and others attended the funeral at St. Paul's Church in Albany, a stark lesson on the dangers of flying and the importance of caution. The theory and practice of flight. Training emphasized seat-of-the-pants flying, relying on feel and observation without an airspeed indicator. Instructors taught aerobatics, like loops, slow rolls, and flick rolls. Ground school covered flight theory, meteorology, and navigation. Mr. H.D. or Benny Goodman taught weather, even predicting storms and ensuring aircraft were safely hangared. Chief Ground Instructor L.R. or Grandma Johnson used multiple-choice quizzes to reinforce theory in an engaging way. The jitterbug. On Thanksgiving, Reg and cadets enjoyed a traditional turkey dinner with cranberry sauce. A dance was arranged, including local girls, Georgia Peaches, teaching cadets the jitterbug. This experience introduced Reg to American social culture and became both a fun and educational memory. Playing rugby during Pearl Harbor. While in the U.S., Reg and other cadets organized a British-style rugby match, playing without helmets or pads. Locals were impressed by the physicality of the match. During the game, news arrived of the Pearl Harbor attack, marking America's entry into World War II. From then on, training intensity increased, and cadets wore RAF uniforms. Memories that will not be forgotten. By December 11, 1941, 45% of cadets had completed the course and 60 hours in Stearman aircraft. They left Dar Aerotech for Cochrane Field, Macon, full of mixed emotions. Warm hospitality, American lifestyle, and friendly encounters left lasting memories, shaping Reg's perspective on culture and teamwork. A new challenge. After basic training, cadets moved to Cochrane Field for service flying training on Vultee BT-13A aircraft. These single-engine planes had fixed undercarriages and basic instruments, including airspeed, altimeter, compass, and needle and ball indicator, but no artificial horizon. Training included formation flying, night flights, aerobatics, and blind flying. The schedule was grueling: reveille at 6 a.m., flying or ground school until 6 p.m., followed by lectures. The rat race. On February 12, 1942, Reg completed basic training and moved to Napier Field, Dothan, Alabama, flying AT-6A Harvard aircraft. These more advanced planes featured retractable landing gear, variable pitch propellers, full blind flying instruments, and high-speed capability. Rat race exercises focused on tactical formation flying, requiring students to fly in formation behind the instructor while responding under pressure. Back to the old country. On April 17, 1942, Reg and cadets returned to England, stationed in Bournemouth. A small hit-and-run raid destroyed their hotel. Due to U.S. training and refusal to take a commission there, they became sergeants tasked with instructing others. They completed a month-long twin-engine Oxford conversion course and served at multiple flying schools teaching Oxford and Avro Tudor biplanes. Instructing others. By September 1942, Reg was instructing at No. 9 Elementary Flying Training School, teaching new recruits on de Havilland Tiger Moths. From April 1943 onwards, he trained students on Oxford aircraft at No. 15 Pilot Advanced Training Unit, covering night, instrument, and navigation flying. He progressed from sergeant to flight sergeant, eventually reaching warrant officer. Combat practice and another casualty. In October 1944, Reg joined No. 2 Group Support Unit at Swanton Morley for Mosquito conversion courses. Flying with Navigator Sergeant Tony Rudd, they practiced low-level attacks, gunnery, bombing, and radar navigation. During Exercise Pea Shooter, Squadron Leader Tennant flew too low and crashed into a tank, killing himself and his navigator. The incident reminded everyone of the dangers of low-level flying. Into battle, France, 1945. On January 7, 1945, Reg joined 305th Polish Squadron in Epinoy, France. Their first 2 weeks involved clearing snowy runways. Their missions included night bombing enemy transport routes. Flight plans were briefed by Wing Commander Graditsky and intelligence officers, highlighting enemy positions and bomb lines. These flights tested navigation, decision-making, and teamwork. The dangers of flying low. Reg and Tony often flew at 4,000 feet, descending to attack trains, lorries, tanks, or barges with bombs or machine guns. Low-level flying was risky. Any misjudgment could be fatal. Tony would shout, "Up!" if the plane was too low, and Reg would pull back on the stick to gain altitude. Constant alertness was essential. Some details of our operations. Reg's early missions included January 9–10, 1945, cloud bombing railways at Puderbach. Feb 3rd, Mosquito NS-844 raids at Puderbach, Siegburg, Betzdorf, Hegar. Feb 10th, bombing Dawn Railway Junction under 1010 cloud cover using G navigation, despite radar failure. Feb 22nd, daylight mission in Mosquito HR-020, formation of 18 planes, facing flak, maintaining formation. These missions were dangerous yet invaluable for skill building and teamwork. Shot down. On April 8, 1945, Reg's Mosquito developed problems over Leipzig, Berlin, Magdeburg, and Braunschweig. Using extra wing tanks for fuel, they observed enemy movement. A night fighter attacked. The port engine caught fire. Tony used a fire extinguisher. Reg feathered the prop. The starboard engine then caught fire, forcing them to bail out. Tony parachuted successfully. Reg followed, landing safely on the ground. Captured by the Germans. Upon landing, Reg tried to hide in a valley, but was captured by 6–7 German soldiers. He surrendered, had his personal items confiscated, and was marched under guard to a warehouse, later taken to Stalag 6G POW camp with other captured airmen. Prisoner of war. At Stalag 6G, Reg stayed in a wooden hut with other U.S. airmen. Early mornings involved forced marches, minimal meals, ersatz coffee, watery vegetables, black bread. American fighters occasionally attacked by mistake. Eventually, he was transferred near Enbach, where guards were lax, allowing limited freedom. Liberation. As American forces advanced, prisoners began self-management. On April 12th, 78th Division arrived, securing the camp. Guards surrendered weapons. Fresh food, fried chicken, and real coffee arrived. Prisoners were processed, medically checked, and transported to Paris via Dakota aircraft. Freed but monitored, Reg eventually rejoined the RAF. Becoming an officer in France. On April 19, 1945, Reg returned to his squadron. He had survived while many missing crews did not. He met Air Vice Marshal Sir Basil Embry and was informed he had been commissioned as a pilot officer effective April 7, 1945. Initially preferring the NCO lifestyle, Reg accepted the commission due to pay and officer privileges. Finding out who had actually shot us down. Tony clarified details of their last mission. Investigation revealed a P-51 Black Widow claimed the kill, but British intelligence confirmed no enemy aircraft were present. It was determined that their plane likely fell victim to friendly fire, prompting renewed missions and commitment. Rewarded for loyal service. Reg and Tony resumed flights, joining 107th Squadron at Gütersloh, Germany as part of occupation forces. Reg's vision issues limited future flying. He was reassigned to ground duties as technical adjutant. He left the RAF on June 14, 1946, continuing service in the RAF Volunteer Reserve until 1962. Honors included the Air Efficiency Award, Polish Gold Cross of Merit First Class, and Polish Air Medal, recognizing courage, loyalty, and service. If this story feels real to you, definitely share your thoughts in the comments.